It's a grind, man. It is a mental, physical, emotional. It is a grind. Everything about it is a grind. And you have to have the mindset to do it. And you also got to try to drown out a lot of the noise. Because everybody and their brother's got something to say. Like a bunch of high school girls, man. But you just got to try to keep your blinders on, man. And the people that are really good at points chasing, that's what they do. They don't really give a shit about anything on the outside. They just go do it.
They gon' have barbecue. They gon' have barbecue. They gon' have barbecue. They gon' have barbecue. Your barbecue on. Get your barbecue.
Ever notice how the sound of sizzling meat and the smell of smoke can silence the noise of the world? Now that's barbecue therapy. If the fire moves you, like, subscribe, share, and help spread the message because growth, like good barbecue, takes time and patience. Welcome to your therapy session. Welcome to the BBQ Therapy Podcast. My name is Tavis Bryant. We have Jordan Kirkpatrick from Janky BBQ, a KCBS champion, a 2023 Team of the Year winner, and one of the most respected voices in competition barbecue. Born in Benton, Illinois, Jordan rose through the Kansas City-style competition scene to win the 2023 American Royal Open, and he's still chasing greatness in 2025. But behind the trophies, there are stories of resilience, mentorship, and the love of cooking. Today, we're pulling back the foil and getting into the man behind the smoke. Welcome to the show. I got one rule: just make yourself at home. I have no sponsors, so speak freely.
Yeah, man, cool. I appreciate you having me on.
No problem. I'm going to start off differently. Congratulations. I saw on Instagram that you've been in the car business for 10 years, so congratulations on that.
Thank you.
My first question is dealing with that. How did you get into the car business, and how did you get to working your way to owning a car dealership?
I've been in sales pretty much my whole life right out of high school. I was in the furniture business from the time I was 18 till I was 30. And basically come up, learn the ropes of business through that. I was in management at the young age of 18 and just always learned how to run a business and do well there. And it come to a point where it just come to a crossroads, and I wasn't sure what route I was going to go. But a good friend of mine was a supervisor at a car dealership, and he had told me you need to – he was straddling the fence in case it didn't work out. He said, man, you would kill it in the car business, but it's a lot of stress too. And full commission. I never sold cars before, but yeah, 2015 started a car business and really hit the ground running and did well. Sold a lot of cars, had a lot of relationships previous to the car business, and then just built more along the way. And then in 2019, just some things made me really just want to go my own way. You hear the old saying that car salesmen are a certain way, but I chose morals over the car business and some aspects of it, and decided I wanted to open my own and run it how I want to do it. So that's what that was. I built a new dealership in 2019, had a baby in 2019. And then good old COVID hit. So I had a dealership built, I had inventory, and I couldn't get a dealer license because COVID hit.
Ooh.
And they weren't issuing them in the state of Illinois. So had to work really hard to get that done, and finally got it done October of 2020 and hit the ground running.
Okay, that sounds good. Oof. Good timing.
Felt like a real man. Had a baby, had no job.
Exactly. Then COVID hit. Then you're trapped in the house most of the time.
Oh yeah, it's terrible.
But you recovered, and you were at the time you were competing at the time, weren't you?
Yep. In 18 a little bit, 19 and 20 it just progressed every year.
Oh, okay. You grew up your whole life in Benton, Illinois?
No, sir. From about an hour away from Benton, Coulterville, Illinois, where I'm born and raised, and graduated high school, was in college, and had an opportunity to start working at this furniture company, and got put into a management program quick, and felt like I learned more in that company than I ever would in college. So I moved to Benton, and that's the business I ran.
Okay. Was it a big barbecue scene was it a small town or is it?
No. As far as barbecue goes, no. Man, I grew up in a town of 1,200 people,
Ooh.
and then I moved to Benton that has about 6,700 people. So, man, looking at me, I'm a good eater. But I was a pretty good cook, but I never knew much about running a smoker. In 2009, there's a picture somewhere on Facebook of me saying it's going down, and it's me on like an old Brinkman with 2 pork butts that were black as night because I'd ran the dirtiest smoke I could ever do. But yeah, no, I didn't know anything about barbecue until I started really studying it.
Okay. And is there an influence of Illinois and Kansas City in your style? Is there, or do you just got your own?
For competitive cooking, you got to cook to the masses of the judges.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever they like is what I'm going to do. But at home, man, I like sweet, a little tangy. I'm not much of a super hot guy, but a little bit, but definitely in stages.
Oh, yeah. I'm not a hot guy either. So growing up, did you learn to cook from your family or how did you get into regular cooking?
My mom is a really good cook. My dad's really good at a lot of things, but cooking was not his forte. But my mom was an excellent cook. Like I said, looking at me neither. I was at the table. But when I moved out, when I moved to Benton at 18, my mom was really influential as far as showing me what I need to do to, instead of running tombstones, cook a good lasagna, meatloaf, try to learn how to cook some decent home cooked meals.
I understand that because I was at the house as soon as I graduated and I did not know how to cook. So I was trying to figure it out as I go along. So I definitely know how it is. You said, and I heard in a podcast that you said your boss introduced you to barbecue.
Yeah. So in the car business, he would come in, he'd bring pork loin and chicken. He would bring it in on Mondays. He was always smoking meat on Sunday. And he would bring it into the dealership, and he's big head anyway. But he always would tell us he's the greatest. And man, it was good because I didn't really know any better. But my wife and him and his wife, we would get together on Sundays, swim and drink beer, and we started cooking together and barbecue pitmasters. We were just getting into it. And he and I went and did a little backyard contest. So I would say if anyone's to blame, it was definitely him for getting me into
it. What made it caught your attention as far as was it the atmosphere or just the competition wise? Or?
Yeah, so a couple of things. I'm not getting up and down a basketball court anymore. I like to coin a phrase that I'm a stationary athlete. If you want to play home run derby, do a little 3-point shootout, or ping pong's about the most I get to moving around. But not competitive wise, it piqued my interest. But I'm a people person, and when we went to do that contest, man, it was just cool mingling with everybody. And then, man, we got a pork call there, and I was big. It was like, man, this is awesome. But
it's about everybody. Regardless of what the call is, what place you in, you hook, line, sinker.
Oh yeah.
All right, we're gonna move a little forward to Pat Burke. Now you said you was at Memphis in May, correct? And you ran into Pat Burke, and he started walking you around and introducing you to everybody. At that time, did you know a lot of the people he was introducing you at that time? Did you realize how big it was, what he was doing? Or did you like, okay, he's just showing me around?
So I had never cooked a contest at that point. Me and Allie and my cousin and her boyfriend, me and Allie had no kids together at the time. So we were going down there to do a little partying. And Memphis in May was the main attraction, but we were just hanging out in Memphis for the weekend. But no, I never really like I said, never cooked, but I was just starting to study barbecue. So I had watched pitmasters, and I think at the time, Allie had maybe bought me a class for Christmas or something. We had took like Mo Kason's backyard class. So I had a little bit of information on who the cooks were. But yeah, we met Pat, and man, from the jump, he was just like, come on. And we walked that entire park. And I remember we had walked out into the road and started walking down, and we got 50 foot, and I heard Mr. Pat, and it was Tuffy Stump. And we were like, okay. And the first person he walks us to, he's like, you met Myron Mixon? And we said no. And I made a joke. I was like, he's got it roped off. Nobody can talk to him. And we walked right over there, and Myron was in the middle of an interview with a news reporter, and Pat waved, and he cut the interview off and went over, and Pat introduced us, and it's pretty neat.
Yeah. I know they real tight. Yeah. I know that's a good experience. Like I was telling you before, that I was done the same thing by Mark Bayless. And I guess back then you didn't, since you kind of lightly knew them, it means more now since you knew, wow, I done met all these people and didn't even know it. But it still is just the act of that someone as big as him, and the folks that don't know, he's one of the forefathers of barbecue. And for him to just, out of everybody, just come to you and say, come on, let me show you some people, that I know that inspired you to be like, okay, this guy, as big as he is, took time to see me, and I haven't even did anything, and bring me around to everybody and let me meet people. How did that boost your confidence and enthusiasm in getting out there?
To be honest, it really didn't do anything in regards to boosting confidence because I had none.
Yeah.
But more so, it just spoke volumes to who he is. In the barbecue world, the amount of respect that people show him is insane. And for him to treat us, who's never even cooked a barbecue contest, that way. And then I don't know if you heard maybe in the other podcast, but after that, when I started cooking, every Sunday he would call and follow up with my results. Early on, when I was getting my teeth kicked in, he would always try to give me a pointer here and there. And then when we started getting some traction behind us and doing well, then you would be close, and he would be like, oh, you stubbed your toe on brisket, or he would always have a comment to try to figure out how to correct it. But yeah, Pat Burke will go down as probably the greatest in my book.
Yeah, definitely. And it holds a special place for you because I guarantee he didn't do that probably for nobody else. And he stuck with you and seen something in you that you didn't see in yourself at that time. And he hung with you and mentored you. And a lot of people didn't even know that. And those calls, it helped progress you to where you at now. Maybe he might have even thought that, okay, I'm just giving him advice and stuff like that. I don't know if he's going to take it or not, but I know he made him proud to see how far that you made it and what are you doing with the advice that he passed down to you. How did it?
So Pat Burke started Apple City Barbecue with Mike Mills, who is 17th Street.
Okay.
So another thing about Pat, though, is it came full circle because in 23, we actually won Murfreesboro 17th Street contest, and Pat was there. That's his hometown. So it was like I was battling like a baby. It was a pretty exciting day. And just for him to be able to see it, he was sitting right there in the crowd, and I was able to give him a big hug and let him get a picture with us up there with the big Grand Champion trophy. It was very cool.
That's cool. That's cool. Like I said, I'm all for that and what he did. And that's why I encourage other people to do that instead of just holding the information to themselves. If you see somebody that you may see have potential or, need help, as I say, it doesn't hurt you. You ain't got to give them all your information, but you can give them the basic tools that they need to boost their confidence and get them interested in barbecue. Because to be honest, a lot of people are falling off because it's not being spread like it should be or promoted like it should be. So that's why I'm all for it, just helping people and giving advice wherever you can without having to give your secrets and stuff like that, because it takes people a long way. It makes people feel good, and that sometimes you don't see it yourself, but somebody else see it in you. My wife always doing that. I be questioning the stuff. Should I start the podcast? Should I not start the podcast? Go ahead and do it. Okay. She don't take much pushing, but she always be that voice of reason to push me and to get me started on different things. So that's why I love that he did that, and to hear the story that he called you every week, regardless of what's going on. Never know what's going on in his life, but he still took time to call you, make you feel important as far as what you're doing, and teaching you and molding you to what you are now. What kind of influence do your cooking have as far as what he's giving you?
He always said, really, probably the most thing that stuck with me was just keep it moving. He would always say, if you have a bad week this week, move on. Short-term memory, you got to keep going on to the next one. You got meat to trim. And that just always stuck with me. And I think that's what, even when you're in 23, we cooked 40 contests. And there was many weeks I had no interest in trimming chicken. And busy, kids, work, it just keep it moving.
Yeah.
And I think that really stuck with me with him. And he was on the Memphis side. He cooked MBN, so he did Whole Hog and the Dog and Pony show. So to hear him talk about that stuff is pretty cool. Just he would carry a little piece of wood around, and he would say that was always the first thing he would talk to the judges about. He would start explaining that little piece of wood, and that's what's going to give the meat the flavor. And just really just being able to be around him and see his wisdom, pretty cool.
And the thing about it is, a lot of these people like him and Donnie T and Mike Mills and all the rest of them back in the day, they don't have stats to justify, like Darren Worth and all that. They don't have the stats like barbecue data to justify what they were doing back then, which is sad, because we have to take people's word for what they're doing and have to be passed on versus like sports stats. And some of these people were incredible and doing great things before barbecue data started, and we have to go by telling stories and passing it on. So I feel that's one thing that's sad about what we're doing here, because there's no recorded history of what they were doing, and it can easily be forgotten on how good some of these people, these pioneers are, and they have to fight to get in the Hall of Fame because there's nothing on paper saying how good they are.
Yeah.
So at what point did you realize that you can compete with Barbecue's Elite? Was there a specific cook contest or?
Not really. In 2022, towards the end of the season, we knocked off, I think, 3 GCs in a row. And we'd been cooking decent for the year. Just a lot to learn, and the amount of studying and practicing that we did was, I don't even know how to track it, but it was a lot. And, you just got to be consistent. And I think that's really what we found was consistency. And then rolling into 2023, you got to be consistent. And it's about like sales, or the number of people you can get in front of you increases your odds to close the deal. So the number of contests you could put in your rearview mirror, it allows you to have the opportunity to win more contests.
That's true. That's definitely true.
Just like a batting average.
Well,
You're gonna have a win average.
Definitely. Have you taken a lot of classes?
Yeah, I've taken quite a few.
Okay. What's one of the most important single tips that you got from one of those classes?
Steve Hayden with 1-2 Barbecue, his class was phenomenal. And he was very detailed. That was a very good class. Schaefer's class was the first competition class I took. And I was just, everything that he did, I was like, he opened the gates. I was like, what in the world? But the thing is, that was my first competition class. So I was trying to learn and follow so many things he was talking about. So all of the little tips and tricks that comp cooks do, I'd never learned any of those because I hadn't taken class. Chris's class was great. I took Brad and Tim's. I've taken Joe Pierce. I've taken quite a few classes. I learned a little bit from each of theirs. And I just think that being consistent and nailing tenderness, I feel like if you inject on a certain day and you trim on a certain day, you want to try to do that every week. Get into a groove. If when you're cooking, you don't want to do one thing this week, one thing next week, and start changing the game up, it's very repetitious. You want to make sure that you're doing the same thing every week.
Yeah, definitely. I've taken 5 classes. So I've taken Joe Pierce. I've taken Chris. You as a success story because he always mentioned, there was this guy in the back of the room. He was focused, and I could tell when somebody had potential. And you know who that is? That was Jordan.
He probably tried to take some of that success, I'm sure.
Yeah.
I know he told me many a times he'd be giving me a hard time if I did something. I'll put that in my back pocket.
Definitely his success.
I mean, they're all great classes. Joe's class was like the first. I really liked his class just because he's a good talker, good communicator, and explaining a one-man band. He does everything on his own. So just to watch, and I think that's what I took away from his class, was just to watch about the repetition.
Yeah.
And he just does everything the exact same week in and week out.
Yeah, his class was good too. Only thing with that, I don't know where you took his class at, but it was at his house in the barn area. But that area of town, it was so hard for me to find the Uber, and I felt like I was trapped out there.
Let me tell you a secret. You never want to take my class because if you think that's bad, you won't come to Southern Illinois.
I was plotting it out on the map just the other day. I was like, okay, where's the nearest airport?
That's the first question everybody asks. We had released classes here about a week ago, and we sold the first one out, and we're about done with the second one, and everybody asked the same thing. I Googled this, and it looks like St. Louis, one in Indiana. Like we have 3 within an hour. But you get over here in Southern Illinois, it's pretty country, a lot of cornfields.
Yeah, I was definitely looking at the map because I saw that you had the class for December 6th and 7th. I was like, okay, where's this airport at? I was like, whoa.
Yeah.
I'm still going to try to figure out some things, though.
Once you get here, buddy, it feels home.
Exactly.
It's like cornfields and everything country.
Ain't nothing wrong with that. I'm in Georgia. There's a lot of that out here. What was your biggest gamble that you'd taken at a contest? Was it maybe a trim or a rub change or anything? And how did it turn out?
It was in 2021. We cooked the Smithfield Classic, and my brisket that week, it wasn't great. And I was scrambling trying to find another one. And I had cooked Snake River Farm briskets, and a buddy of mine had an A9. And he was like, man, I know it's not the same brisket, but I've trimmed this one already, and I would be happy to let you have it. So he brought it to that contest. And I remember when I cut it open, the trim was nothing close to mine. I was trying to figure it all out. And the whole cook, I'm like, we're going to ruin this brisket. This is going to be a bad day. And we sliced into it. It was money. And that was because snakes and A9s cook a little different. Their textures are a little different. And when you're not used to it, it's easy to get in your own head. But if I'm being honest with you, in 2021, we were cooking okay, but we were still lost as yesterday's newspaper. But we ended up winning that contest, and that was a really big contest to win. So it was pretty cool. That was in my mind, that was a gamble.
Okay. So speaking of big contests, last year you finished second at the Jack. How close were you to winning? How many points do?
We tied, and then we lost the tiebreaker with a formula. So that was fun.
Okay.
But Albie Ransom, who won that Scuffle Top Smoke, is one of our really good friends. He was actually the reserve grand to our very first GC.
Wow.
And I'll be honest, there's no chance in hell we beat him that day. We got lucky. There was no way our food was better than his.
Yeah, because I was watching LC Barbecue. He had it on streaming live, and I was watching it on Facebook during it. So it was cool. During turn-ins, did you feel confident, or were you sure where it was going to go?
No. So I guess another time that we took a gamble was at the Jack. So I had been cooking chicken wings. I cook on an offset on an outlaw, and then also cook on a gateway drum. So I had been practicing all the way up to the Jack, chicken on my outlaw. Chicken wings, I should say. I cook my thighs on the drum. And of course, we get to the Jack, and I'm like, I think it'd be a better idea if I cook them all on the drum. So I practiced chicken the day before at the Jack, and you're just hanging out. So I cook chicken. Everyone tries it, like, this is great. I'm like, that's what we're doing. We're cooking them on the drum. The day of the Jack, we're cooking them. It got a little hot on me, so I'm trying to get it cooled down. We pull them out of the butter bath, and they're not good. They got way too hot. It got like a leathery texture. So I'm in there like scraping this chicken, trying to get it to get a decent bite. And Bill Hine with Triple H, he was right close to us. And I'm still trying to work on turning my chicken in, and he'd already turned his in. And he'd walked up on our back porch thinking we'd turned in. And I just handed one out the door to him, and he took a bite. And I said, they're terrible. And he looked right at me, and he went, yeah, you're not wrong. And he walks out, and I was like, we're screwed. So anyway, made the call. We only put 3 chicken wings in the box, and the rest of the cook was like, that's going to screw us. That's going to stick the fork in us. But the other 3 categories were really good. And I said the whole time, if we could get lucky and just have the barbecue gods help us out on chicken, we might be all right. And the first call, 10th place chicken, they call us, and all my friends were booing me from the back because I'd been complaining about that chicken the whole day. But yeah, so that paid off. I say we got lucky on that, but the other 3 were really good.
That was cool. So how do you stay calm under high pressure moments? Do you still get nervous at this point?
Oh, yeah. I try to act like I'm not and just try to keep a straight face, but on the inside, I'm ready to vomit. So I'll tell you a little, it's not really a secret. A lot of my friends know, but 2023 during the chase, pretty much every Saturday, I would vomit every morning before our meets went on. I would go out, take a walk, and my nerves would always be shot just because I'm like, I'm on the road every weekend. I'm miserable. I don't want to do this no more. But yeah, towards the end, man, it was a ball of nerves.
Wow. Congrats on this year getting to the Jack. Are you going to do anything different than you did last year, or are you just same business as usual?
Yeah, run everything the same way, man.
Okay. And how is it in the atmosphere as far as competing against everybody? Because that's a contest where everybody in the USA and outside the USA come into one area. How is that pressure as far as cooking the Jack?
You got to be confident in your food. And I think that's every week. The Jack is just another contest. You could go cook a 25-teamer next weekend in Kansas City, and there's a good, confident 15 cooks that could win any day of the week. And you've got the same thing at the Jack. You have to put good food in the box and hit your marks, and hopefully you have a little bit of luck.
Okay. Definitely. Let's go back to, I know you haven't tired of telling this story, but the 2023 American Royal, I got some questions I'm trying to get understanding. So I guess they announced the winner. You came in 5th, correct?
Yep.
So at that point, did they notice something was wrong, or did you notice something was incorrect? And how did that come to your attention if you noticed it?
The night of, I didn't know anything. No, we were tickled pink that we got fifth. Our friends, a lot of our friends were right there in front of us, so we were over the moon to get fifth at the Royal. And then it was, I think it was the next day, I started getting text messages, and they were like, something's off. Basically, what would happen is we had got calls, and then when you looked at the score sheet the next day, they were different. So you're like, what is going on? And then it was the rumor mill started going around, and then we got a phone call and said there was going to be an audit. And they're like, we don't know anything yet. I know they contacted everybody, and man, it was an unfortunate circumstance.
So if y'all wouldn't have said nothing, they wouldn't have said nothing.
Yeah, you would hope not.
Yeah, exactly. I know you handled it like a gentleman. Every time I hear you talk about it, you handle it like a gentleman, because I know I wouldn't have, because it's not the same as being announced there and after the fact, because the moment is different. The same people aren't there, and it's not the same feeling. But I'd say you handled it like a true gentleman and professional. I know behind closed door, probably it is what it is. But
yeah.
Every time I hear you talk about it,
the trigger been pulled. You can't call the bullet back. It already happened, and being an asshole and throwing a fit, it ain't gonna do nothing. You know what I mean? It's still, it is what it is. It wasn't fun. But
yeah, that's true. But it's good that people paid attention and called it out, contacted you on your behalf about it also. But it's sad that you have to pull it away from somebody else. And
was tough.
Yeah,
because me and David Ellis are really good friends. That sucked. And on top of that, like Petey Smoking Pits, Bill Hine, he finished right in front of us. It was like, and now everybody gets moved down the line, and
exactly.
But hopefully.
And then the payday is different, because you got to give back this big check and take this smaller check. So it was not a good look. Nobody's perfect, but some mistakes are bigger than others.
Shit happen on that stage.
Exactly. Yeah. So did they say it was human error or computer error?
I have my opinion on that. They did the audit, and we'll just leave it to that.
Yeah, it's good that they got it right, but it's sad. One of the biggest contests out there that this happened, but it doesn't mean it's a wake-up call. So now I guess y'all more focus on when y'all get your paperwork and get your scores and stuff like that, and be more attentive to what's going on. So it does help wake people up. It's sad that the stage that it happened on. But as far as, I guess you were doing a lot of chasing and stuff like that. You beat Brad in 2023, and then you almost went back to back. You lost by 1 point.
Yeah, at the Roof. There was one team in that whole place that couldn't win. And actually, I think there's two. But the odds of that happening, I remember telling Allie, I was like, God dang, they win this thing. It's like hitting Grand Slam in the World Series. And sure as shit. They come out of the gate swinging. And as soon as I got that chicken call, I looked across the way at Allie, and I was like, we're fucked. and we were. I give her a hard time. So we weren't cooking a ton last year. We had Cruz, our son. And early on in the season, the agreement was once he was born, I was not cooking. And basically until everybody got settled, then I could start cooking. There was like 4 or 5 contests where she was like, I can have this baby any day. And I was like, are we sure? So I was like, maybe I could go cook this. I could get back. Then I got all my friends and my mom and my sister. They're all like, do not do that. So I didn't go cook it. And then after she didn't have him the weekend, we'd be watching the awards. And I'd be mean mugger from the corner of the room. Like, I could have cooked that contest. So yeah, I told her, I said, had to go and get pregnant. She's like, there are two of us here. I was like, I hear you. But, no, that was cool, man. Obviously, as a competitor, you want to win, and that would have been really cool to win back to back. But man, John and Stephanie with Janky are solid people, man, and they did what they needed to do to get that win, and they definitely did it.
Yeah, definitely. It's crazy. Just 1 point. 1 point.
Oh man, I'm telling you, that was fun.
So, what are some of the good and some of the bad of point chasing?
It's a grind, man. It is a mental, physical, emotional. It is a grind. Everything about it is a grind. And you have to have the mindset to do it. And you also got to try to drown out a lot of the noise. Because everybody and their brothers got something to say. Like a bunch of high school girls, man. But you just got to try to keep your blinders on, man. And the people that are really good at points chasing, that's what they do. They don't really give a shit about anything on the outside. They just go do it. And it's hard. I'm not going to sit here and lie to you. I'm not cooking a ton this year. And we've had a lot of classes. Man, I'm cooking against my old food. And just, you got to try to make sure that you put the best thing out there. And I feel like we've had a pretty good season, but we're taking weeks off. And I think that's the other thing about points chasing is you just keep cooking. If you take a week off, it's easy to start getting in your head and you asking yourself all these questions. And man, maybe I should change this or maybe I should adjust that. You just need to have confidence in your food and keep it rolling. But as far as the good thing, for me, we take our family pretty much every week. So I have my kids with me. They've seen the country. They've been across this country and seen more things than probably most 5 and 6 kids have ever seen. And they've met some really good friends that are kids. And Hayes is some of his best friends. Whenever we make his birthday list, he's inviting barbecue cooks. He's making comments about, like, Paul Buah with Smoking Ghost he's a big fan. Farmer Tim here, he's a big fan of Tim, and there's a lot of people that he likes that are grown men. Excuse me. And but yeah, he's made us some really good friends. A lot of our cooks, they have kids that are his age, and man, Hayes is like, well, Mary Barbecue. Like, he runs around. He don't care who it is. He wants to talk to them. And some people like that, and there's probably some guys that don't like that. Probably get the hell away from me. But he don't care. He wants to be your friend until you tell him he's not your friend. But he's just a kid, man. So yeah, that, and then just staying sharp, points chasing, man. To get better at something, you got to keep swinging. And if you want to be a good free throw shooter, you got to keep shooting free throws. Yeah,
definitely. We see that this year where I don't know what's Brad kind of zone he in, but it's just everybody else might as well go home.
He's in every zone. He's all over the country, man.
And then he ain't using his own equipment to make it so bad.
Yeah.
I was like, geez, he ain't give somebody a chance. I was trying to hype rooters and tutors up. I was like, y'all can catch him. Yeah, no, we ain't going to catch him. We're not even trying.
I don't think there's anybody catching him, man.
Yeah, he in the zone. So it definitely, it's fun to watch, to see somebody do that. Because I talked to Travis Clark, and I told him, like, when I came into barbecue, when COVID hit, that's when I really started doing my homework and stuff like that. So I didn't get to see or hear anything like he was doing. because I heard that he was doing some amazing things, and I see his barbecue data and stuff like that, and I was like, boy, he was taking no prisoners back then. I heard on the podcast that you had surgery and went to a competition.
That was in 2023. I had a leg surgery on a Monday, and I wasn't supposed to travel anywhere. And they said you can't drive. So I told Allie, I was like, we're going to New Jersey. And a friend of ours, Kurt, he came from Arkansas and he drove us, I don't even know how many hours it was, to New Jersey. So I had my leg all bandaged up, and big boy and tried to get it up in the bed so it was elevated. And he would always say the same thing. Big boy, just take a nap. So I slept most of the way. Yeah, we cooked that and then drove straight back.
How hard was it to maneuver around the trailer?
It was sore, but it was all right.
If you had to do it over again, would you do it again?
Probably.
All right, let's kick it to a different area. The original Janky Leg pit. How long did you use that before you moved to the next pit? Was it the Outlaw? You went straight to the Outlaw after that?
No. No, so I had that. I bought that pit when I was telling you I was with my buddy I worked with, and we did that first contest, that little non-sanctioned. We cooked on that thing, and there was smoke coming from every orifice on that thing except the stack. And after that, I thought, I'm going to contact a welding shop, and I'm going to make this thing into an amazing smoker. So I spent probably $3,000,
Whew.
and I had this thing completely changed, put on a trailer, the whole nine. And then now that I know what I know now, I should have just went and bought a drum or something else professionally made for competition cooks. But no, I had that pit, and then I ended up buying a friend of mine, Brad Cox, with Local Yokels. I bought his, and I bought his Deep South smoker. So I cooked on that for a year, I think, maybe. And then bought another trailer. And I think I put that pit. And I bought another trailer and put the Deep South on that. And I cooked on that for a short period of time, and then I bought my Outlaw.
Okay. What made you go Outlaw, and how's the learning curve on that?
I like cool cars. When I saw that pit, I remember it looked so cool with the wheels and everything. And then I started talking to Jay Craig, who owns Outlaw, and I think it was in 2019. I had never met him. I'd messaged him on Facebook about it, and I was going down to the Jack just as a spectator. And he's like, man, I'd like to meet you there. We can catch up. Man, I met him at the Jack, and we just hit it off, talk like we've been buddies for 20 years. And we stay close. And like I say, I'm in business and always been in sales. So I like someone who offers you something and service. And his is bar none. There's no one that touches his service in the game. And I like to support good people. And on top of that, his is legit.
Okay.
So when I bought the Outlaw, we cooked our first contest. It was me and Allie. My buddy Teen Wolf cooks with me, but he didn't go that weekend. And I was nervous how to run it. I was like, cooked on one of these, man, and it ran perfectly. And just held consistent temps, and it's just a good pit.
Okay. And you say you use a gateway drum for the chicken. What the advantage did that cooking it on the gateway drum give you?
So I've never cooked a piece of chicken on an offset. I've never cooked a piece of chicken on anything except a gateway drum. Other than when we first started, we cooked it on the original Janky, and we're not going to even count that. It was terrible. But yeah, I've just always cooked one on the drum, and I really like how it comes out, and I'm not going to change it.
Okay. And what do you think, if you had to pick one, time management, tenderness, or preparation, which one wins in a barbecue competition?
Tenderness.
Okay. And next question I have is, if you could change one thing about KCBS, what would it be?
Man, I don't really get into the weeds of the political stuff. And I think anything that you have where you have a bunch of people involved in one organization, you're always going to have bickering and disagreements. But to be honest with you, I feel like the disagreements and opinions of others, I think that's good sometimes. If I had to change one thing, I think that the mindset and the end game needs to be focused on growth of the sport. And I think in order to do that, you have to really have someone good at PR and getting sponsorships. I think to grow anything, you have to be able to raise money.
That's true.
So if I was to say what I'd like to see changed, man, I would like to see their golf gets paid hundreds of thousands of dollars. I think it would be cool for barbecue to be able to get a fraction of that money.
Yeah.
People like barbecue. If you think about it, like you said, you walk around Memphis in May, man, if you walk around the Royal and you see some of these cool setups, just as a spectator, people enjoy that. So I think if I was to see if we could change something, try to grow the sport.
Exactly.
And be open to ideas from others.
Yeah. The thing I disliked when I came to Memphis in May, the time I met you, is us being spectators walking around. They wouldn't let us we could take pictures, but we couldn't do videos and stuff like that. And I'm like, I never seen a Memphis in May movie or anything. So what is it hurting for us to, outside of people cooking, they're going to be in the back, but just recording just to have memories and stuff like that. But they wouldn't even let you record anything. And I was like, people didn't travel from all over the place. We drove up from Georgia and we couldn't even record anything. And they was...
It's crazy.
And then last week, I went and walked around. Here we have one called Pigs and Peaches in Kennesaw. They had all the cooks in one area. And then probably like a half mile down the road is where they had the festival. And I'm like, this doesn't even make sense.
Yeah, put them in it.
Exactly. Way down the road, you got this big old festival going on. And the cooks a half mile down the road. And I was like, it doesn't make any sense to some of the stuff that but that's not bringing the attention to barbecue. It brings attention to the festival, but people are off to the side competing and people don't even really know it. They're just there enjoying the festival. So it's not fair for all the cooks that came out to compete and show what they do and stuff like that. But organization and thinking about the people that's coming out there as well as caring about the cooks that's cooking. Because you got to maintain, like I say, it's easier to maintain an employee than train a new one. So you got to keep them cooks as well as bring people in to show why you showcasing this barbecue and why they're on the big stage and who they are. And they might see me ooh and ahhing, but you got to show this person that may not know who Jordan is or Tim or something like that, who they are, and put them on the stage and show why we excited about them. So I agree with
it would be huge for the people. It would be huge for the cooks that have restaurants like Schaefer, Brad, Travis Clark, Joe. There's a lot of these guys that have big restaurants, and these people that are at these festivals travel the country. You mean to tell me if someone saw Joe Pierce at a contest and heard slaps and they're in Kansas City, they wouldn't want to go check it out? It would be a benefit to those guys, especially.
Yeah, exactly. So I definitely agree with that. It need to be more attention to the crowd as well as listening to the cooks and not think that they're just complaining, but be open to advice and not being stubborn from the outside. That's coming from me. And so anybody say that's coming from me, in my opinion, and what I'm seeing from the outside looking in. And I haven't started cooking yet, so that's from the outside looking in. It has to be more focused on drawing people in as well as focusing on the cooks, because I see y'all be working hard. I've been in the trailer. I got invited in the trailer. I seen somebody in there hustling, trying to get everything together. And it's not easy as folks think and you go out there and slap it together. You got to have your recipe. Everything got to be done at a certain time, and it's all about precision. And people don't know what goes into it, and y'all need to be put on display because y'all are chefs, and those are works of art that y'all are putting together. Anybody can't do that. You just can't walk up and say, "Hey, I'm a cooker competition." You have to learn how to do that stuff. So I definitely agree with you. Next thing I'm gonna shift into, you have your own business. You got 3 boys, correct, and a wife. And how do you balance family life with traveling and long weekends and the competition and vacations and stuff like that?
Man, it's a juggle. But I think everyone has their own opinion of it. My opinion of it is we cook a ton. Our family travels together. My kids have seen and done things that they would have never done if it weren't for barbecue. But you got to try to have it organized in every aspect. When it comes to the dealership, I know my schedule. When I'm traveling on Thursdays and Fridays, I'm on the phone probably more than I would be in my office trying to put something together. And then I just know when I get home from a barbecue contest, I follow the next week's meet, and I know start right all over it. You do the same thing every week, repetition. But to balance the family life and whatnot, I'm fortunate. Allie loves barbecue. Maybe not as much as she used to, but she still travels with us. And if not, we're blessed to have good parents. Her mom will come and stay, or my mom will come and stay with her just to keep her company and help the boys. But that doesn't happen very often. We try to be as involved parents as we can be, and we drag them along with us. But I think barbecue has made Hayes into the kid he is. He communicates as well as most 6-year-olds that I know. He's not afraid to make new friends. He's not afraid to ask questions. And I think a lot of that stems from barbecue.
Yeah, that's good. And I love to see where the husbands and wives are cooking together, and because a lot of people do it just to get away from their spouse and stuff like that, and instead of making it like a family thing and get to spend time with their family and work together and stuff like that, because it takes a special kind to do it, like you and rooters and tutors and stuff like that, to get out there and show people that they can work together and stuff like that. Oh, Luke he does that, and just having the family around, because sometimes you need that extra pat on the back that you might not be feeling confident about. Hey, or hey, get out there and get them next time. Something that goes a lot. That encouragement, or your kids, where you're upset, your kids might just randomly come up and give you a hug, and you be like. So I know it definitely means a lot. It's very important at certain times where people don't realize that, where they trying to leave and run out the door from their family. But that little extra push, it means a lot, because I know that from experience with my kids, because sometimes I'd be frustrated, aggravated or something like that, and my baby will come up and hug me, and I'll be like, you can't help but change attitude. Too.
We've got Teen Wolf that cooks with me, and he's cooked with me from the beginning. So it's easier sometimes when Allie can't go, he's coming with me. So he's a big asset to the team.
Yeah, and that's definitely good. And shout out to him. All those that have people that may not have the spotlight, but they are very important to people's team and don't get the credit sometimes and get overlooked, but they're just as important. Your wife and Teen Wolf and all that, and the kids are just important to Janky Leg as you are, just because you get up there and get the trophy. But it's a group effort that goes into winning those competitions, because everybody play their part, even though it may not be what people think. If you had to give advice to someone starting out in barbecue, what would it be as far as the contest?
Man, just get in there. Everyone's going to screw up. When you look at people like Tim Shear, Joe, Brad, there's all the people that you think of when you think of barbecues. They all started somewhere, man. And you listen to podcasts, and I'm sure you've listened to what they have to say. Man, everybody's screwed up and made mistakes, but I would say jump in there, find yourself a good friend or a mentor. In my opinion, find both, because if you can find yourself a good friend that's at the same level you are, you guys come up together, bounce ideas off each other, practice cook together. You can get feedback. There's multiple things you can do to try to come up quicker. And then obviously shorten the learning curve. I was blessed compared to cooks that have been around for a long time. They didn't have classes, and now that there are classes and people are investing that money to shorten the learning curve, it's a big help. You take a lot of those days where you've ruined all the meat, and you really shorten the percentage that will happen.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely worth the investment. And I definitely advise anybody also to definitely take a class, because you learn so much. And not only that you learn so much, you get to meet so many people, whether in the audience as well as the people teaching the class and the people helping the class. And it builds your community and people that you know. Because I've met a lot of folks just going to classes and learning. So I definitely understand what you're saying with that. Let me see. I got one more question and then a quick game, and then I'll let you go. If you had to construct an all-star team to cook a competition, including yourself, and you had to pick 3 people, dead or alive, who would it be, and what meat are you cooking, and what meat are they cooking?
Total of 4 cooks, right?
Yep, you included.
I'd take Bill Hine on chicken, Tim Shear on ribs, myself on pork, and probably Brad Cox with local yokels on brisket.
All right. That's a good team. All right. I constructed a game that I'm going to play real quick with you. And you know how the college basketball had the tournament bracket? I did a tournament bracket of 16 meats that you cook on the grill. And just tell me which one you prefer to eat, and we'll see which one is the winner. All right. Matchup 1, beef ribs versus lamb.
Beef ribs.
All right. Next matchup is smoked ham versus smoked turkey.
Smoked turkey.
All right. Next matchup, burnt ends versus hot dog. Okay. Next matchup, pork ribs versus steak.
Steak.
All right. Next matchup, smoked bologna versus brisket.
Brisket.
Okay. Next matchup, barbecue shrimp versus sausage.
Sausage.
All right. Next matchup, pork chop versus chicken.
Chicken.
Okay. Next matchup, pork belly versus hamburger.
Hamburger.
Okay. Next matchup, beef ribs versus turkey.
Beef ribs.
All right. Burnt ends versus steak.
Steak.
Brisket versus sausage.
Sausage.
Ooh. Chicken versus hamburger.
Hamburger.
All right. Final 4, beef ribs versus steak. All right. Sausage versus hamburger.
Hamburger.
All right. And final is steak versus hamburger.
Hamburger.
All right. I think somebody else picked that hamburger before. So that's a 2-time winner.
There you go.
All right. And did you say you were a fan of the North Carolina Tar Heels basketball?
I'm a diehard Jordan fan. And as ashamed as I am to say it, probably the last 8 years, I have not followed college basketball. I've been barbecuing for almost 8 years, but I have not followed college basketball like I used to. I used to never miss a Carolina game ever.
Oh, wow. Okay. I did a special tournament for you of all North Carolina basketball players, 16 bracket. Most of them are older players. And we're going to see who win. We know we're going to win, but we're just going to make fun anyway. All right. Matchup 1, Jordan versus Ty Lawson.
Jordan.
All right. Jerry Stackhouse versus George Lynch.
Stackhouse.
All right. Antoine Jameson, Vince Carter.
Carter.
All right. Sam Perkins versus Raymond Felton.
Perkins.
All right. Tyler Hansbrough versus J.R. Reed.
Hansbrough.
All right. Brad Daugherty, Rasheed Wallace.
Wallace.
Okay. James Worthy.
Sean May.
All right. Kenny Smith versus Harrison Barnes.
I'll go Harrison Barnes.
Oh.
I'm a Kenny Smith fan, but I was young.
Jordan versus Stackhouse.
Jordan.
I'm already right. Vince Carter versus Sam Perkins.
Carter.
All right. Tyler Hansbrough, Rasheed Wallace.
Hansbrough.
All right. And Sean May versus Harrison Barnes.
Sean May.
All right. Final 4, Jordan versus Vince Carter.
Jordan.
Hansbrough and Sean May.
Man, that one is hard. Man, at college now, I probably have to go Hansbrough.
All right. And him versus Jordan, and yeah.
You already know. I will say Vince Carter. It's Jordan, Vince Carter for me.
Yeah, definitely.
I'm a big Jerry Stackhouse fan.
All right. We appreciate you for coming on the show. I definitely thank you. Your therapy session is over. If you have anybody to promote or thank, you can do that now.
Yeah, man, there's a lot of people, and that's the great thing about barbecue. A lot of our sponsors are our friends when it comes to seasonings and whatnot, but you got Man Meat, Drew Davis. There's a ton, man. I could go on Brad Cox, Man Meat, Heavy Smoke, but our biggest sponsors, man, is Tim and Terry Shear with Blues Hog has done so much for us. Jay Craig with Outlaw has went above and beyond for us. And then Jay LaBello, and then the Cordy family, Kyle and Amanda Cordy with Cordy Meats. That's where we get all of our meats, proteins, and they're just top-notch people. But there's been a lot of people along the way that stepped up and helped us.
All right. Definitely go out and support them, everybody. And definitely, I love Blues Hog just like everybody else. Tim is, he let me come out. When they came to Atlanta, I got to go to the race and help them and stuff. And it was like, I know people think it was crazy, but I went out there. I was there from 11:30 to 6 p.m. helping them hand out sauce and give out steak and sausage. But I enjoyed it because it's just watching one of the masters at work and see how to promote and be professional out there and have fun. So I enjoyed every minute of it out there, and it was a great experience. And I'll forever be grateful for him for allowing me to even come out there.
Yeah. Yeah, we did that in Nashville. It was pretty cool.
Yeah, it's a different experience, but I definitely appreciate you. I met you once, and you willing to come on the show, so I definitely appreciate that. I forgot to say I cut my sleeves off just as a shout out to you. I told my wife, let me cut the sleeves off this shirt just to shout out to
her. So a funny thing about that, so before I was in the barbecue, there's a big lake that's just a couple miles from our house, and it's a boater's paradise there, man. Everyone goes there, and there's a big party cove. And before I was on barbecue, I was very heavy into boating. Spent a lot of days on the lake, and big boy getting ready for the boat, man. I'd have all my cutoffs ready to go, heading out there, hit the liquor store before we go, and then strip it off and let my belly shine out there, man. But I used to tell people all the time, if you have a problem with a weight limit on a boat, get off my boat. So yeah, I had my first contest, I had all my cutoffs from boating. So my first contest, that's why I had cutoffs, and it just stuck. And buddies of mine would give me a hard time. They're like, man, you got all your boating shirts out there barbecuing stained up now. So I've never changed it.
Look at these trophies, though. I told my wife, I'm going to cut the sleeves off just to Shout out.
Man, as soon as we came out here, I noticed that. I was like, I'm digging
I meant
it.
to say it at the beginning.
Yeah. I wasn't going to say anything because I wasn't sure, but I can appreciate it.
Definitely. But I definitely appreciate you coming on the show and take your time out your
man.
schedule and your family and stuff like that. And I wish you the best of luck at the Jack. And I look forward to seeing you at the Royal.
I appreciate you. I appreciate you having me on.
No problem. I hope you enjoyed yourself, and I'll see you down the road.
Yeah, man, for sure.
All right. Appreciate. We just wrapped up another session of BBQ Therapy. Remember, stay patient, stay passionate, and keep that fire burning. Hit subscribe, share the good smoke, and pay the secretary on your way out. Have a blessed day.